I hear all kinds of dinging, so we must be live. What's going on, guys? Damnation-n-Hellfire here. And tonight we are joined by some guy named Ross Crow. I see him like usually on Thursdays, sometimes on Saturdays. No idea who the hell he is, but he just shows up, so we'll deal with it.
Good evening, everyone.
And then we got Cuttlefish is doing a stand-in this evening. What's up, Cuttle?
Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's bounty is going well.
I got flattened already, so yeah, mine's going great. So let's just jump into it. We got a fair amount of slides to cover, so I'll go ahead and start screen sharing, and we can just go. All right, so in this bounty, obviously, they have introduced the heavy turrets for players. They have a directional firing arc, just like the ones that we're seeing in the targets that we're doing in the current raid format. So first thing you're going to do is need to get the heavy turret transformer onto our defense platforms, and we'll talk about that later. That transform is required to put the heavy turrets on it. So don't be getting heavy turrets in bounty and not getting the transformer and then be like, why the hell can't I put this on there? You know, I mean, in the briefing it says it, and we're telling you right now. I'm sure it says it's been mentioned, I'm sure, on other places, other pages as well. So if you don't do it, it's not our fault for not trying to communicate you. So this is one instance where I would have actually been happy had they done some kind of lock store where you couldn't claim either turret until you claimed at least one of the heavy transformers. This is one situation where I would have been okay with a lock store, just because I think it would have saved confusion and bitching and crying at some point. But so basically, it's going to the transformer is going to increase the power capacity of the turret by a large amount, and so you can put the power hungry heavy turrets on there, and it's going to change the way it looks a little bit, so you'll be able to see which ones are heavy and what direction it's facing, and so on and so forth. So you'll equip a heavy turret. What's it say? Equip a heavy turret to heavy turrets released as prizes in Bounty 17. The first is a Thunderbolt mortar battery, which is a long-range mortar turret, obviously, with 180-degree firing arc at a minimum range. And then you're going to have the Stormbringer missiles, which is the penetrating one. That's 60-degree firing arc. And they're both going to do a fair amount of damage. You can see here how the firing arc is going to be indicated. And then you can, after you equip everything, you can select the platform, and just like your guard ships and your boat, it's going to have that ring around it when you click on the turret. For example, they show here, and you can just click on the indicator which direction you want it to be facing. So, I don't know. What do you guys think about the concept of the directional turrets?
I think it's interesting. I'd rather have something like this come instead of something huge. Well, instead of just a straight, flat, huge power creep. I like the additional features added. I mean, I'm not sure about this exact one, but I like the idea of, new things.
Oh, I like these, and they also mentioned earlier on that we would also be getting mountains at a later date, and these two in combination could yield some very interesting base designs.
They certainly could. I hope they get all the issues sorted out with trying to target through mountains and everything before they give us mountains.
True.
I mean, it's already bad enough in the raid targets when my boat sits there because it's trying to shoot through a mountain when it can't. I don't want to see that happening in bases as well. But I mean, I like the way they do the arc thing. So it's, it's something we're already familiar with. Like we have that same circle on our guard boat. So you just click on what direction you want it to be facing. So, I mean, I like that it was something that we're already very familiar with. So that makes a lot of sense.
And I like how the bases are differentiated.
Yeah,
so we can tell it's one of the big turrets.
And then, of course, you know, just like you could in your bay here, they show where they have the little orange circle there for when you want to click on that for when you want to change your facing or your turrets, and then it just shows up pop up like again, just like we have on our defensive fleets. So I don't know, it's pretty neat. And then here it kind of shows you how they work, you know, while they're actually in the base and what they're going to look like, showing all the arcs of fire and whatnot. Of course, obviously this person is a hacker because they have 4 of the transformers in their base already when we only have 3 available in the upcoming bounty. So, you know, taking pictures of hackers' base planners to promote your game. Good job. No, I'm kidding. Obviously. So yeah, that's pretty much the way that the heavy turrets are going to work. You know, it's going to be a thing of trying to figure out how to maximize them to where they're going to be most effective in your base. You know, for like the missile one, it might involve long channels. For the mortar one, it's probably going to be more focusing on stopping points outside of your base as opposed to maybe in your channel. I don't know. But anyway, there's that. Turns Terror Elite campaign. Let's go a little bit about that.
All right. This one started on Tuesday. It's also going to end on Tuesday the 29th. So this one's to get your tier 7 turrets up. And prize pack 1, you're going to get the Halo missile ×2. The special is the one you're going to really want. The Thermobaric casing 4. You're going to pick up a 7-day Halo missile build token ×3 also in that prize pack 1. And then prize pack 2, you're going to pick up the 2 of the Javelin 2s, the heavy ballistic shells, which is another great special in my opinion, and then 7-day Javelin 2 build tokens ×3. In the prize pack 3, you're going to pick up the Cold Snap rocket turret, and that's a great turret to have right now, along with the fuel tank special.
Yeah, I would say out of all the turrets offered in here, the Cold Snap one is really the one to go for. You know, if you do your best to get the prize pack 3, if you can't get any farther than that, that's fine. But like, do your best to get to that one because I honestly do think the Cold Snap is the best one.
I would agree. And then you pick up the structured build token on that prize pack also. And then on to prize pack 4 is where you pick up the kinetic motion cannon. You pick up the Phlogiston launcher, the launcher 2 also ×2, and then you pick up the build tokens for that, and then you pick up structure build tokens also 2 in prize pack 4. So you're going to get a total of 3-day structure build tokens in this whole thing too. So it's a good one. I mean, I started this. I did go through the prize pack 1. With my Inferno Dragons, the damage was not, for me, it was not, I was seeing reports that the damage was high, but no, it was not for me. So I was pleased with the damage I saw just running through prize pack 1.
Do you have short range dragons or long range dragons?
Short range.
Okay. Because I know with short range, I know I heard a lot of people complaining about the damage who were running the short range ones. And I know when we had this before, it was kind of punishing to the short range ones, but there were angles of approach and stuff that you could take to make it work out well for you. So
yeah, I have the high damage ones. That's why I was mentioning that it really wasn't off the charts for me, at least. And I have the short range.
Yeah, I know. I myself haven't really went for it this time because I'm like, it's nothing really. I want 3 days worth of structure tokens, whatever. You know, 3 days this isn't going to make me or break me. I don't really care. I'm so far behind everybody else on upgrading my turrets. I'm just to the point where I don't give a shit anymore. I'll get there when I get there.
Would like to say that all 3 of these turret specials, which are available in here, are the top of the line ones in the game. And it's odd that the special, which is supposed to go with the Phlogiston launcher, is not available in prize pack 4.
Yeah. I guess they decided putting the OP cannon there was more important than the special that went with it. I would definitely say though, like I'm really interested that the thermobaric casing is in there. Like that's a really, really good special to get, especially with this heavy missile that we have coming out right now. I mean, I'm assuming it will work just fine on that heavy missile, so it could be really good to put on that thing.
I would think so.
And the heavy ballistic shells is the turret special, which gives you 100% projectile speed. That, in combination with the fuel tank, those would look really good on the mortar.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, there's definitely some prizes worth getting in here if you haven't gotten them already. While Bounty is going on, they're also going to be having a PvP refit discount of 50% on all your PvP tier 7 stuff. Basically, your hulls, your weapons, your base turrets, your ship armors, and your specials. So there you go. Everything is going to be reduced by 50%. So that that's applying to build time, titanium costs, and basic resource costs. So there you go. So I would have liked to have seen something there for tier 8, but whatever.
Yeah.
All right, Bounty 17. Here we go. Bounty 17. Obviously it started just a little bit ago. Actually, it started just a little over an hour ago, and it's going to run till Monday the 28th at 3 p.m. kicks time. It has some new features and changes. Prizes for ranking. There's prizes for ranking on a personal leaderboard, which we'll get into later. The bounty store opens during bounty, which is kind of interesting. Like before, they had always done that where they didn't want to open the bounty store because it kind of threw off the balance of everything and made things even more about the whales during the event. I guess they don't really care about that anymore. So whatever. So I believe that's going to open up Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not open now, but it's going to open like midway through the event. When spending bounty points, when the store opens, obviously your secured bounty will be spent before the unsecured bounty. That makes sense. To prevent the same player from being hit over and over again by the same person, you can now only attack a player 4 times over the course of bounty. If you reach your 4 attack limit on a player, you will need to find a different player to attack. And there's 4 that only applies to the 2-star attack thing, so it's not like you can still tap people with gunboats, multiple times. But if you hit somebody and you do the 2-star thing and you get their OP, then you attack them 4 times, that's it. You're going to have to go find new prey. Let's see. We're at a 10K auto bank of unsecured bounty. Has been changed to 5K now. I know that was the 10K thing. A lot of people were saying was a bit much last time because basically you had to get to 20K before you could bank 10. Now you only have to get to 10K before you can secure 5. So that should make a lot of people happy. That stretch isn't as big. And they are having the return of PvP bounty payouts. So when you hit other actual player bases, you do get a bonus again. Oops, wrong way. So in reference to that, the PvP flat payouts. This is for when you're attacking player bases above level 60. Obviously, below level 60, you don't get any kind of flat payout. Level 60 to 70, you get 75 bounty on top of the 50% of the unsecured bounty you take from them. 80 to 99 is 350 bounty on top of the 50%. And level 100 plus, you get 800 bounty on top of the 50%. So that seems pretty nice. It's nice to see that's kind of back now. And I guess since you can't hit the same person over and over and over again, they've kind of kept people abusing that somewhat. Replica payouts. Oh my gosh, the low level ones are still just god awful with 60 to 100 bounty. The mid level ones are between 230 to 360, and the high level ones are anywhere from 500 to 1,000.
And the resource payouts are unchanged, which means they're nothing.
You know, I don't. It's so weird because, like, a lot. I know last bounty, a lot of people were saying that they weren't getting much, but I personally was doing okay with the resource payouts. So by looking at my fleet, it didn't look like I was, but when I looked at my base, I could see where it was. So I don't know.
Can you scroll back to two slides to the initial briefing for a second?
Right there.
Yes. So when the bounty points are when the bounty store opens on Saturday, we will all get to see all the new turrets and all of that, because base part targets are still available, so people will instantly put those turrets up. So we'll be able to see their effectiveness before the end of the bounty.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So people can, like, I'll wait and I won't spend my points right away, and I'll let other people test them out, and then I'll see if they're worth getting with my points or not.
In addition, from what I understand about the replica bases, they are a snapshot of that player's base as it is right now. So that if they put in the new turrets, those turrets should show up in the replica bases as well.
Yes,
right?
that is correct. We've seen that. Well, I guess we haven't seen it happen in the past, but yeah, that's the way my understanding is. The snapshots get updated by real-time stuff. So yes, it very well could change the layouts of bases that we're seeing while we are in bounty and with having the new turrets in.
So be careful after the bounty store opens up. Otherwise, you could get surprised by one of these new turrets.
Yeah, that's a fact. All right, the prize list. Of course, obviously the Thunderbird mortar, the Stormbringer, both in there. That sure seems like that should be Thunderbird. I don't know why, but anyway, Thunderlord mortar and Stormbringer missile are both in there at 10K. This is not a limited blueprint. You claim it once and you can build as many as you want. The caveat being, of course, is you have to have a heavy transformer to equip it to, and that is in there for 10K a piece, and they are limited, and you can only claim up to 3 of them this time. So let's go over to, let me readjust this slide. Somehow something got moved over. I don't know how I didn't catch that. Oh, the actual whole picture got changed inside. There we go.
EHT transformer, or the hot transformer. This thing adds 50,000 power to your turret to allow you to run the titanic weapons, the heavy turrets we're about to talk about. This does not actually increase your base power maximum, but it will allow us to put on huge stuff on these turrets. Yeah, I don't have much else to say about this. You have to pick all 3 if you want to put on these heavy turrets.
Couple interesting facts. It can be equipped to any level turret. So you could, in theory, equip this to a level 1 turret if you wanted to.
Oh, yeah?
Why you would want to, but you could. You don't have to only place heavy turrets on this. You can place regular turrets on it with regular specials. Like, I know I have a couple turrets right now, but I think they're only level 9. But they were requiring so much power between the weapon and the specials. I put them on them. I could only put like 1 weapon and 2 specials, and I couldn't go any further. So, you know, this could be something that can help you out there. No dynamite. It can't be put on the walls, on the traps and stuff. Like, they've never been able to use any kind of transformer on those. So, I mean, it has some interesting usages, you know, other than just for the heavy turrets, in my opinion. You know, it's like, if you get one and say you're a low level player and your turrets aren't anywhere near to like level 10 or whatever, you could put this on like a level 5 turret and be able to put some new big fancy like level 7 weapon on it that you normally wouldn't be able to.
No, that is absolutely true. I did not even think about that. It's quite clever.
Now, I know right now we can only claim 3 in the bounty, and it says that they have a limited available of 5, but I was told that they do plan on upping the limit on those in the future, so that shouldn't be a problem. And 9.5 days, not a bad build time. You can do it with base parts for nothing if you have the ability to go out and get base parts. So I don't know. It's interesting.
That's a good deal.
Yeah, it's Saturday. I'm going to be putting in 3.
But the Stormbringer missile is the first weapon to go on that heavy transformer here. It's a Legion Tech Tier 8. It does take 36,000 power, so it's quite a lot of power it's going to require. It's missile and penetrating damage. Armor points on that is 35 million.
Yeah, let's stop right there for just 1 second. Isn't that interesting that this adds armor points as well? So when you put it on your like level 10 turret, you're going to be looking at what, like 61 million points on a turret at that point.
And don't get me wrong, but then your bubble pad's just going to change a drastic amount.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just say goodbye to your bubble pad.
So, I mean, I just couldn't believe when I got to when I was reading through this, I went to the armor points and I went, armor points. Wait a second. These aren't damage points. No, wait, armor points. Okay. 35 million, and we're concerned about power creep. We must not be anymore. Power creep is out the window. When we're adding a special with armor points that doesn't usually carry any armor points, right? And then we put 35 million on it. Something's changed in the game, right? I mean, that's a dramatic change over the past, correct?
I know we had.
Go ahead.
I know we had a Tier 8 turret released before now. I didn't pick it up myself, so I'm not particularly familiar with it. Did that Tier 8 turret, the distortion launcher, I think it was called, did that have any armor on it?
No, because it wasn't a heavy turret.
No. This is a whole
new. The only reason these add armor points is because they're the heavy turrets.
Right.
What'll be interesting though is I'm sure now that a lot of those people who only are running like 2 or 3 or 4 turrets in their base, that this now gives them a whole lot of reason to build more turrets and put in the front.
I'm one of them myself. I've cut down turrets just to try to balance my base bubble pad, and so I can't imagine how this is going to. I don't even know what to say about that, in all honesty. And the huge amount of armor points is what I'm seeing. It's just we're just not going into it lightly. We're just jumping right in. But at any rate, then this weapon does have a projectile speed of 300, an accuracy of 75, so it's not perfect. Range is 5 to 160. Damage is 800,000. So high damage. Reload time is 13, so it is not the fastest reloading weapon there is. And it does have a penetrative bypass of 100%. I like the weapon, in my opinion. This would be my preference of the two, just personally, just reading through. And this one is fixed with a 60-degree firing arc.
And the most important part is the missiles are immune to countermeasures.
Oh, that's correct.
So I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you. I think out of the two, this one is definitely the one I'm more interested in. The 60-degree firing arc is kind of meh. So I think it'll be I think it'll kind of be good with the way they seem to be wanting bases set up now with like the lurker, having to have that long channel to fire down to be effective. And I think this kind of fits in with that whole thing where this is going to need like a long channel to fire straight down to be extremely effective.
And we do have a penetrating range bump special that should move that to just shy of, 200 range?
I believe so, yeah.
And that's a huge amount of damage.
Well, actually,
without all the bumps we can throw on there.
Yeah. I mean, 800,000 seems like a lot, right out of the gate. But then you're like, okay, well, you put turret defense on there, you're cutting it in half, so you're down to 400,000. And when like a breacher has like 6 point whatever million hit points, 400,000 is going to take a while to chew through that before you. And of course, all this math is just off the top of my head before you start adding specials on and whatnot.
True.
But it will cause damage. It's just not a. It's not a Halo 2, in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's not one that you're just going to be able to sit there and ignore for sure.
Yeah.
So I know I have some interesting thoughts for it already. 3.7 days is the rough build time. Like I didn't get when I asked them for build times, they just gave me this is the version they gave me. They didn't give me 3 days, X hours, and X minutes. They were like 3.7 days. I'm like, okay.
That's still a good build time. That's well within base parts range. So yeah, thumbs up.
Cuddle, then we got the Thunderlord Mortar Battery, or the Thunderbird, as I like to apparently call it.
Yes, the Thunderlord Battery. This is Draconian tech. It consumes the same amount of power and provides the same amount of armor points as the missile does. The projectile speed here is 150. The splash is 8, which is very low for a mortar. Spread of 75. The minimum range is 250 with a maximum range of 500. This does 900,000 damage with a salvo of 6, which brings it to 150k a shot. The reload time of 10. And we have some interesting special abilities. Every time you hit somebody with this mortar, you reduce their explosive deflection by 1,500 up to a maximum of 75,000 after you've hit them 60 times. Again, this is immune from countermeasures, just like the last one. This is the one that I prefer versus the missile, because I could plant this deep in the back of my base, and if I can just hit them a few times and get their explosive deflection low enough, every other explosive device in my base will begin ripping them apart, like, say, cold snap turrets or onslaughts or whatever else you have that fires explosive damage. But I don't know. The minimum range may be actually too long. Looking at the initial chart, which was shown earlier, that looked 250 range looked really, really huge on there.
Yeah, that's the two big gaps I see in this one are the minimum range, like you said, is huge, and I am not a fan of that projectile speed at all.
No.
Like, not even a little bit.
Well, I'm going to put in 3 of these. I already have prepared 3 of my mortars, of 3 level 10 turrets to mount these with all the specials. They're just sitting there waiting for it. I've changed my faction to Draconian, I believe, for explosive damage. And yeah, I've got a nice place for them. So next time I'm on, I'll let you know how much I like these things, or if they've lasted longer than 30 seconds in my base.
Yeah, I don't like. When I learned that projectile speed, like, you know, granted, I mean, it's not the slowest we've seen, but like, think of how slow the Halo is, and that's like a little over twice as fast as a Halo. So even going a little twice as fast as a Halo, I'm not sure how many shots you're ever going to land.
And for me also, it's the splash, which is a problem. 8 splash. I've seen bigger splashes on siege cannons. Doesn't matter what type of splash bonuses you throw on there. That splash is never going to be large. So you need to get really close to hit them with it.
Yeah, when compare the 2 turrets, I see a lot more weaknesses to this one than I do the other one.
However, the other one is just one giant missile which fires every 13 seconds, and we don't have a lot of missile reload which we can actually slap onto that thing. Whereas there is a great deal of explosive reload, so I can get this thing rocking and rolling. Offhand, there's Eruption Pyre, which adds 161% explosive reload. Or if I'm truly not going for the damage, I could put on side loaders that gives 240%. And I can get this thing kicking pretty nicely.
Yeah, with between your reload and your projectile speed, you may have the you're gonna have just a big blob of orange in the back while it's all waiting to get to where it's going.
I know. It's going to be interesting. But this is the one that I'm going to be playing with.
So there you go. Other prizes, I just kind of went through and highlighted the ones I thought would be interesting for people. Obviously, the Breach of Dreadnoughts, the cap of that's been raised to 5 now. So if you were one of those people, like most of us who only have 3, you can now get 2 more and go to 5. If you were one of the lucky people who had 4, you can get 1 more and go to 5. And if you were one of the truly unlucky people and had 0, you can get all 5 this time if you can manage to get the points. And then, of course, you can get the 2 weapons that went with it, the Arbalist and the Scattergun. Hyper 30s are in here for only 8,000 points. You can only get 3 of them, but you know that's better than 0.
That's quite a deal.
Yeah. The big hit point armors are back for those people who did the chargebacks and missed them. You can finally get them again. No, sorry, that was a low blow. Or people like Ross who just couldn't get them the first time because their performance and bounty was because of the issues was so terrible.
That's right, legit issues. So I'm happy that those are back for myself.
Well, actually, it was these were in Krampus, right? Not bounty, if I recall.
Right.
Yeah.
And these Hyper 30s are the cheapest I've ever seen. In the last event, they were 25,000 a pop. And in the
25 million, not 25 million.
No, 25 million in the 25 million in the raid, and then 25,000 in the event.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're saying. Gotcha.
Right. But yeah, so this is a fantastic deal. I am low on these. I plan to pick those up.
I would say for a lot of people, though, it's probably easier to get 25 million in the raid than it is to get 8,000 in the bounty, maybe for a lot of people.
True. And since they have reduced the price here, hopefully they will reduce the price in the raid as well.
Yeah, that'd be nice, but I'm not crossing my fingers. Zip Drive, I think, is another really good special just because of the way it stacks with concussive damage that's already on hulls. It kind of almost stacks like wall and building damage does. It's not additive. It's just some kind of crazy kicks math. And instead of getting 75%, suddenly it jumps you up like 100 and some percent when you add it to something that already had concussive. So, I mean, the reloaders are in there too for the people who don't have the reloaders. I didn't highlight them just because the weight on them is pretty freaking beefy. They have all the PvP armors in here, so if you don't have those, you can go back and get them. I think some of them are a little bit pricey. Like the 3s at 7K, I think is a bit much. The 2s at 6K is definitely too much. And the ones at 4K, in my opinion, anyway, is definitely too much as well.
I think all bounty prices are a little high, being that the lowest, they need to really make it grindable. In my opinion, this is all just my opinion, but being that, the 80 map targets, I hit one just to see, and I got 60 points towards this event. 60 points towards this event, towards, let's say, one item I wanted, CT CO plate, random, 7,000. Can you imagine how many level 80 map targets I'd have to hit just for that one special? That's just not right. In my opinion, they need to take a look at the whole, point system. If they're going to charge this type of points, then we need to increase these lower tier targets so we can make it grindable for these people to be able to grind it out. It's how Battle Pirates has always been since the start. You can pay for it, yes, and get all that magic, or you can grind through in time. Well,
I would say the one difference though being, and bounty is a little bit different in the fact that you get gifted points every 6 hours or whatever.
That's true,
so,
but not enough.
Well, let's see. Well, say your outpost is like, use mine for example. It's right now it's level 3, so that means I'll get 1,000 points every 6 hours, and 5 hours automatically banked. So that's 6 hours. That's 24. So that's four drips a day times 500 is 2,000 points a day. The event goes for, what is it, 3 days or 4 days? 4 days, right?
I don't. I actually am on the game, and I crashed.
Oh, there you go.
So,
we're gonna say it's 4 days just for the sake of this example. It could be off, but whatever. So that's like 8,000 points I get just for logging on every 6 hours and clicking OK.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 4 days, Thursday to Monday.
Yeah, so that's 8,000 points I get over the course of those 4 days just for logging in every 6 hours and clicking OK.
Plus the 1,000 points you can get
if you don't get hit, right?
No, I'm not. I'm counting just what gets secured because half of it is secured right away.
Okay.
Otherwise, it would be like I'd be talking 1,000 points.
Yeah.
Also, remember that you can get an additional 500 points locked from just getting gunboat hits every day. So there's another another 2,000 points for you.
And I'm not counting the 1,500 that you get auto secured from your initial seed either. But I don't know. But I still think that they are too high, and I do tend to agree that the low level map targets pay out way too low. I mean, I'd like to see people like all this is tier 7 stuff. That should be, okay, we're moving into tier 8 at this point. This should all be like not really necessarily fire sale to the players, but like here, shouldn't be very hard for you to get type of deal,
Right. We would want you to have it at this point, because we're past it.
Yeah. And then, of course, we got the Conqueror build tokens and the Defender class build tokens. They're always my first recommendations to get those. And the only reason I highlighted the titanium and the uranium over here, because I thought, honestly, that the payout on those was actually fairly decent, like, comparatively to what they've tried to do in the past. Like, normally I would expect to see 1,900 bounty points for, like, 2,500 titanium. So I think making that 25,000, I don't think was a terrible thing.
I agree.
And oddly, there's no base parts there.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I was like, really? I was like, you hit all of the resources except for base parts? I guess they don't want you to use your bounty points to equip your turrets too.
Yeah.
Oh, and Cuddle wanted to point out too that while you can claim 3 defender tokens, you can only hold 2. So make sure you spend one before, because I won't let you waste your points by trying to claim a 3 if you're at max already. But to get the most bang for your buck, try to use 1 and then claim the other 2 or whatever. And then here you go. Here is the Dreadnought skin that the top leaderboard peoples will be getting. Here's the breakdown for that. The first place gets the Skylord badge, the Plaguebringer Breacher skin, 60 days worth of Breacher tokens, and 500,000 titanium. Second through third gets the skin. They only get 40 days of Breacher tokens and 250k titanium. 4 through 6 gets the skin, 20 days of Breacher tokens and 125,000 titanium. 7 through 15 gets the skin, 10 days worth of Breacher tokens and 63,000 titanium. And 16 through 30th get 5 one-day Breachers build tokens, 32,000 titanium, and 31 through 50 get 16,000 titanium. I won't be placing in any of those, so I don't really care.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I won't be placing on here. I will admit the Plaguebringer skin, Breacher skin. Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, I like the looks of it.
Yeah, shame I'll never have it, but
I agree.
oh well.
I'm biased. I'm not a fan of green in the first place, so I don't like it. But you know, I'd be happy if it was another purple skin. You know, I'd be down with that. But I never liked green for some reason. Too much green in the world.
I do like it, actually, and it stands out. This one does, so it's something that I won't have either, but I like it.
It's like it's almost like this Dreadnought has hung out with the Forsaken in World of Warcraft. Now it has that little plague thing all over it.
Or it got
Terrible World of Warcraft reference there. Lots of people probably didn't get it. Bug fixes and tunings. They fixed relocation. Apparently, people were still trying to relocate people in inactive sectors and to inactive bases. And I thought they had fixed that once before. Apparently, it popped back up, and now it's fixed again now. The Royal skins were not able to be fitted on hulls. Apparently, they fixed that.
Which is odd because mine were able to be fitted onto my bat race. So
well, you know, there's a lot of stuff that seems to lately for the past year or something. It's like it used to seem that bugs would affect everybody or nobody, and now it seems like you have groups of people that bugs will affect them, but nobody else. And then I don't know, it's got weird for the bug situation lately. And then, of course, you know, as always, general bug fixes and performance issues and tuning and blah, 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 blah. Ross, do you want to talk about the battle report?
Sure can. Now, it says here that while the final decision may differ slightly from what you see below, here's a work in progress showing off what the battle report feature will look like. Now, it's shown on this, the initial release of the battle reports will only feature the damage tab, but we're designing it with the ability to expand it. We'll be able to add more to it in the future and make sure it's as comprehensive and as the community wants it to be. As a reminder, the damage is broken into 3 categories: avoided, negated, and taken. Avoided is what you missed, negated is what hit you, but was countered by defensive stats, and taken is what was contributed to your repair costs. You will be able to use this information to sort out whether you're being successful and what's giving you problems, helping you to better optimize your build and maximize your fleet's effectiveness. Well, I'm just a huge fan of this in general. I don't know about this exact application will help, but I like this idea of giving us more information about what we're encountering.
I think this is the best thing to hit the game in a long time for PvE. I personally don't think this should have any place in PvP whatsoever.
Right, I agree. It should not be in PvP.
I actually, currently, my understanding is that it's going to be for both PvE and PvP.
Oh, holy cow!
I had a long conversation about that today and how, like, no, this needs to totally stay out of PvP.
My take on this is I wonder if this is going to be broken down by ship or by fleet. Because as a PvE player, I run multiple different types of ships in my fleets. And if this is all combined into one, it's not going to be as helpful, if everything's combined. Like, let's say I was using a Zealous monolith fleet. The numbers would be confused if I can't see what my Zealous is doing versus what my monoliths are doing. Does that seem to make sense?
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting thing. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I think at this point, my understanding is it's going to be broken down by fleet, just like like when we get the battle report for our base hits and whatever. It doesn't say breacher number 1 took 50 billion explosive damage and blah 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 blah. It just says no, this breacher took 98% damage or whatever.
Right.
So, I don't think it's going to be broken down by ship. I think it's going to be broken down by fleet. But they did say they're willing to expand it, based on what player feedback is.
Well, sign me up for some feedback.
Now, for me though, a lot of it comes down to, for example, I kind of know already. If I'm having a tank ship out front, I know that almost all the battle report is going to be reflected on to what actually damaged that tank. And visually you can usually see what gets back past the tank. It's okay, well, I got hit by mortars because I didn't have my tank placed properly or whatever. But a lot of that kind of damage you can visually see what's hitting you.
Right, but let's take an extreme example,
but then again, you don't know also secondary damage what that weapon has. So you might see that mortars are hitting you, but you don't know how much of that damage might be, say, radioactive, because that's the mortar's secondary damage type.
Right, and if I'm looking at the battle report from my base guard, well, my base guard is 4 different ships. I have 5 ships in there, but every single one is different, except I have twin curators. But besides that, everything is different. I don't know. I like this idea, though. It's a great. It's very, very welcome. That is for sure.
Yeah, I think it's great for PvE. I think it's the greatest thing in the world for PvE. For PvP, I think it's terrible for PvP. I don't think it has any place in PvP.
I agree. Not for PvP at all.
If you get to the point, say you come at a point at my base that all of a sudden 3 ships are firing on you along with 8 turrets or something at one time, and you get insta-gibbed, you have no idea really what did it, because you get hit by all that stuff at the same time. But this battle report is going to tell you exactly what did it.
They need to add another category: plasma.
I don't know, sharing information about what my base is doing in PvP, I'm not a fan of that. That's where that's where we can still have some, what's their word they obfuscation. That's and PvP, player versus player, that's still fine, because that's where it comes to skill versus skill and me knowing more than what you do. That shouldn't be part of PvE, but it should definitely be part of PvP. That's my thoughts.
So when is this supposed to come in?
I don't know. Sometime in February, I think.
All right. Well, fine.
And then we have, and I'm going to put this in quotes, defense stat improvements. So I'm just going to try to highlight this. Basically, they're getting rid of defense percentages and changing it to a defense rating system. They say a lot of hulls, especially higher tier hulls, are going to get a lot more armor than they had before, which is not going to impact your repair times in any way. We've already seen it used to be like 1 second per 100 armor points or whatever, but we've already seen that they can adjust that as they want to. So they're going to keep it to where your 3-hour repair hull is still going to be 3 hours, even though its armor gets like quadrupled or whatever. They say this will better convey the survivability of your hulls in a way that was actually pretty hidden before, which should be useful. The defense rating system is going to replace the old system. All defenses will now be a flat value. For example, something might have 1,000 corrosive defense as opposed to a 20% corrosive defense. As you place more defenses on your hull, your survivability will increase, just as you would expect. So a total of 2,000 corrosive defense will always be better than 1,000 corrosive defense. It's worth noting that this defense is actually not the same as deflection. Deflection is unchanged. When you equip defense, you will be shown how much longer your hull will survive, which should make it all pretty straightforward. Of course, I would not be surprised if at this point you're wondering what the heck's the point of this system. Yes, I'm quite frankly wondering that. Let's see if his answer answers my question of why is this needed. It says the answer is by shifting to this new system, more building options become viable. This is really, really a huge deal right now if you don't build your hulls in a very specific way, which is sometimes different on a per target basis. You're going to take an insane amount of damage. Imagine that someone has someone does a target for 3 coins and someone else with just 2 specials different can't take it at all. That stinks, which I thought that was kind of funny. That sounded like a little kindergarten teacher. That stinks. Anyway, with these upcoming changes, you guys will suffer less subtle differences in builds, which will allow you to experiment with more creativity. This doesn't mean that the builds will be equally good, but it does mean that the differences between builds will be much more reasonable, and you'll have way more freedom to customize your hulls and experiment without being brutally punished. So, let's look at this a little bit.
That is a lot of PR talk.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. My perception on this is I think this is a way for them to more easily manage how much damage we do take, as opposed to being helpful for us. I think it's a way for them to guarantee that we're going to take a certain amount of damage, which in turn they believe will generate them coin. Every decision we've seen basically in the past 2 months, and I'm sure I'm not alone in this, but every decision they've made in the past 2 months has basically been, how can we generate coin? How can we generate coin? And I think this is just going to be another thing that falls into that category. As far as this is going to open up build options, well, you could already easily do that by not making these turrets in the target do 400,000 points of damage, where I'm forced to have to stack up to 99.9%. Of my resistances. I mean,
if reduce the build time.
If 2 specials, well, reducing build time is not going to have anything to do with that, though. But I mean, if a 2 special difference makes a 2 specials makes a difference between one guy being able to do the target and another guy not being able to do the target, that is a fault in target design. That's target design. Is what that is. That's these turrets doing these massive amounts of damage. Don't force me to have to stack the 99.9%, and then I'll probably do some different things with my turrets.
One of my issues here is we don't have any specific examples, and I really need a specific example here. I need to see a breacher before and the same breacher after, so I can see where.
Well, no, you don't want to see breachers because this isn't going to affect breachers at all.
Right.
This is for PvE.
Okay, well, then I need to see an Eradicator. Then.
I don't know. I personally think this is just a tricky way for them to cause us to take more damage myself. I mean, they can try to spin it any way they want to, and it's not going to change my mind of how I feel about this. 99.9% is a floating value. It changes if you hit me with, say, 100 damage. The reduction of 99.9% stat is going to be a difference than if you hit me with 400,000 damage. Obviously, my 99.9% is going to be a much higher value. These defense flat values, there's no flexibility in them. They don't change. So all you have to do to make me take more damage is just up that turret damage a little bit more, and then I'm going to be taking exactly the amount of damage that you want me to take, because you know that I'm only going to be able to negate exactly this much of that damage.
I need to see more of this. I need to actually see something more than this PR talk. But yeah, I agree with you. It does look like, I mean, it's going to be a big shift, but I do need to see actual, real specific examples.
But
I know Travis or Dooms in chat, since he couldn't make it, he's in the chat. He's saying that by going health points to hit points, they can continue escalation power creep. Escalation and power creep is what we don't fucking want. I mean, that's what we've been saying for fucking years now. We're tired of escalation and power creep. And they don't even have to do escalation and power creep when they lock shit out by tiers anyway. I mean, if you make it to where I can only hit the top end target with a tier 8 hull, there doesn't have to be any escalation or power creep there. You just, by putting the limits on the target, you've already built in the escalation and power creep. Am I stupid and silly for thinking that way?
No, I would agree, and I just think there's lots of ways to address this, and this is just a scare. This is revamping the basic system. I was in favor, and let's be honest, the first prior to refactor of PvP, and then and truly after it went down, I'm sitting here going, oh my god, my game sucks. So I'm really not in favor of any more refactoring, or I'm really not. I just am not. I don't think they know the game well enough to make those kind of changes.
Pardon me. Yeah, I mean, when you're taking a fundamental part of the game that, people have been used to this for 8 years, basically, and now you're going to say, okay, well, all this stuff that you've been used to and you built around and you've come to know and understand over the past 8 years, well, apparently you understand that well enough that we can't make as much money off of you as we want anymore, so we got to change the entire fucking system. So I don't know. I mean, I don't understand it. I don't like it. And I'm going to fight with them tooth and nail about this. I've already been doing so, and I think they're getting kind of irritated with me, but that's okay. I'm not there to collywaddle to them. I'm there to represent what I feel the community feels and the feedback that I get. And all the feedback I've gotten is nobody wants this, nobody asked for it, and nobody trusts them that this is going to be for the better of the game.
I need to see it in action. I need more information than this, because, does this now make it right now with our percentage thing? It's on a nice super sharp curve. Will this defensive stat turn that curve into a nice linear line, which is nice and easy for game design? Or you know, how does... I don't know. I need to see more of it.
I mean, I don't know. And if you're worried about survivability and how much damage that the hull can take, well, there's already formulas out there. Like, you know, my defense calculator I made and Huggy Shipyard always used to show you can take this much damage of this type before your hull will die. Why can't you just put something like that in the game? If you want to show me my survivability.
Well, I think it all stemmed, and I could be wrong. It's because they can't add a decimal point or something, you know, right? It's because our damages are so high that we can't now see the difference on our stat blocks between what 90, you know, 99 and 99.6, right? So now they have to create this whole change.
But the thing is, they can add a decimal point.
I know.
We've seen that decimal point in many, many places.
And let's just do that. Let's just do that, and we understand we're in a bad place, okay? But the players didn't create this bad place of that decimal point, right? It was created by them, and then going back through and changing all this, it's really going to have a drastic change on the players. Is not a good would call. And in my opinion, I just like just to rethink this through, and maybe just. Let's just rethink other options.
I mean, the sad part is, though, I don't think they're willing to do that at this point in time because I think they've already fully invested into this. They've already put like hours and hours and hours of development into it before even bringing it up. Hey, what do you guys think about this? You know?
No, I agree. I think they are past thought. They've already got, you know, they got a little bit of details to tell us about. So this is basically going in place. They might just not have the date, I guess, but this is in place. So we'll just have to see. You know, I mean, I'm certainly not one to say that the refactoring of PvP has gone well. It's gone horrible. And so I hope that the PvE side of refactor goes better.
I think it's a big mistake. Changing fundamentals of the game that people have been using for 8 years. Yeah, that's not a good way to go. I don't know. I think that's it for the slides. You guys got anything else? Don't all speak up at once.
Well, the bounty. Yeah, this is a pretty good bounty from my point of view because no one can get above 5 breachers. So that will level out the playing field amongst all of us on the PvP area. So I think that's a good thing.
I'm not gonna lie, I've been running this bounty now for the last 30 minutes while we're on this show, and my performance has really gone to let's just be honest, to shit. On the quality of the game, the playability has really gone to shit in the last 30 minutes. And I've been watching comms, and it's not only me, it's not only my alliance, it's not only my sector. It's the game. So once again, I mean, I do know that they do watch these shows. They're going to have to really step up their game, in my opinion, on their server. And they did the consolidation. We've done that. Us loyal players are still here. So fix the game, get it running a lot better, not a little better. Get it running a lot better, and do it soon, please.
Well, it seems to be very specific to bounty as well. Bounty is when we seem to really lag terribly.
Do you think it's the massive amounts of on-map targets that there are?
I don't really know it at all. I mean, I could say 100 different things what I think it might be, really, but I just don't know. What I do know,
I don't think the amount of map targets has a damn thing to do with it, because we have way more map targets than this during raid.
right? We do, and we don't have the. We're pretty locked up right now.
I mean, I know I enter a battle and sometimes I have to refresh like 2 or 3 times before I can actually enter the battle that I've entered, you know?
Well, what it gets to be a point for me is it's a PvP event. So you want to be hitting other players in optimal, in this is my opinion, is what I would like to be doing for max points. So, but I'm not really willing to hit a player and crash like this to take that chance. So that limits me back down to hitting those map targets, and that's not a fun event for me. It's just not a fun event.
I mean, even Candy Apple in chat saying the lag is the worst he's seen in 8 years, and his whole alliance is having the problem. I was really hoping Doomsday would have made it on before we ended the show, because I really wanted to debate the defense stat improvement thing with him. Poor guy having to work. Now he's like, oh, I could have clocked out 5 minutes ago.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I could have sat in the car 5 minutes ago and had this debate with me, but no, now we're ready to log off, and now you realize that. Golly gee. All right. Well, I think unless anybody had anything else major, I'm going to call it there. We went just a little bit over the hour mark.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, indeed.
There are some gold sales out there if anybody is into that type of stuff.
One thing I did forget to mention, there's only 2 gold nexuses per world now, so have fun fighting over those.
Right. And the drip did increase to 200.
Yeah, it's gone up to 200 as opposed to the 25, I think, per hour that it was before.
Right. So, in all honesty, is what that did. They did not generate more. In my world, they didn't generate, or with me, they didn't generate more battles. They took. I just decided, no way. I'm not even going to try. I'm not even going to participate in that, because that's not fun. With 2 in the world, 2, no, that's not very fun. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, especially if you're in one of those worlds with, like, SDS7 or Gimps or gangs or one of those guys, it's like, okay, well, they're in our world and they got like 100 people in their alliance. Well, there goes both of the nexuses in this world. There's no point in any of us lower level alliances even fighting over anything.
Right, and that's the truth. Why I'm not going out there to fight over it. There's no point. And so they took that away from actually the money they could have possibly generated. In my opinion, I won't spend on that, because that's silliness. They took the fun out.
My alliance is too small to even think about playing with those golden nexuses. I haven't even briefed my people on them for years. It's just not worth it for me. I'm in too small.
Well, I mean, there's so many like mid-level alliances out there, as I like to call. They might have 100 members, but they don't spend near the money that SDS7 or BPL or some of those other alliances spend. So, and they would have tons, and I mean tons of fun fighting over that extra two or three golden nexuses that weren't claimed by the heavy spenders, and that would generate coin. Like I myself with my alliance went out and participated in many battles over golden nexuses that all the mid-level alliances were fighting over. But that's not even an option anymore. It's like, okay, I guess that's money I won't be spending, because I would actually coin those fleet versus fleet battles because they were fucking fun.
They were fun, but getting stomped is not fun. So I totally agree. In those there's so many alliances in the game. There's not so many top alliances, but you can't. So many people are left out of that, and then limited prior to limiting it to 2. So many people were left out. I thought, they really were. I thought it was limited before they took it down to 2. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it was somewhat limited at 5, but at least at 5, you were still able to engage in competition and healthy competition.
Yes.
Over those extra ones. And it's not even feasible anymore. You look at you're like, oh, well, that alliance who spends like $5 billion a month has that nexus. we're not even going to try to fuck with it. It's not worth it.
Well, and not only that is they're going to have the next nexus, all the gold nexuses for the next 20 bounties. That's just how it is, because that's what is spending rate. That's that, and nothing will change. And so that's just that's silly. In my opinion, might as well just hand it to them then.
Yeah,
it's silly. Yeah.
Be like, here, if you spend this much money, you get this much bounty for free every bounty.
Right. Okay.
Exactly. You're in one of the largest alliances. Sure, this nexus is yours.
Yep.
You don't have to even have a good Hyperion. You just have to have a Hyperion, and you just park it in the middle of the thing, and you have points.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Candy Apple saying, and I totally agree with it. The gap between the haves and the have-nots is getting really big again.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge.
It's quite possibly actually the biggest I've ever seen it, to be totally honest about it.
Right.
Especially with the prizes that they've started giving out these individual leaderboards.
Yes.
Oh, here you go. Here's 60 days worth of strike tokens just because you spent a whole lot of money.
Or extra limited hulls.
Yeah. Yeah.
The extra limited hulls really gives an advantage.
Absolutely. So, I don't know. And you would almost think, well, I don't know. I guess not really. Because I was going to say, you would almost think in a way it would kind of cost them to give out and just hand out 60 days worth of breacher tokens. But at the same point in time, it all depends on how much that person had to get those 60 days worth of breacher tokens. And people don't stop and do the math sometimes. I swear to God, man. It's like, congratulations, you got 60 days worth of breacher tokens for getting first place. Too bad that cost you 3 times more than if you had just coined shit.
No, right.
And if you're at the top there, you already have 3 breachers at least. That 60 days of breacher tokens build, well, you can only build 2 more. Those are, 14 days each? So, meh.
Well, I mean, there's a whole lot of refits, though. People are always constantly refitting.
Yes. And I'd love to have some
top-level PvP, and Ross can probably testify to this. That's where actually most of the money is in top-end PvP is on refits.
Oh, yeah. Some players even refit just for 1 base. They do. And so there's huge money in refits. And to have breacher tokens on the backlog, on the banked would be great. It'd just be great. And even if you have you're allotted right now, this game's going to change. So it'd be great to have them.
Sure, I can see that.
Cool. All right. Well, I think I'm pulling the plug on this one. So thanks, guys, for stopping out and watching. Chat, we always appreciate you. You help add to the conversation. As always, give us a thumbs up. Give us a subscribe. If you haven't already sent your friends to the page, shame on you. Make sure you do so. And we will talk to you Saturday. Well, I'm sure we'll have a whole lot more to say and some different viewpoints on this whole defense stat improvement and the battle reports and bounty. So stay tuned and see what everybody else has to say as well. And don't be shy. Jump on here on a Saturday if you're watching. All right. We'll talk to you on Saturday. Later, guys.
Peace, everyone.
Good night.